Hey guys, so today we're going to be talking about this new power level mechanic. It's not really a mechanic. I guess it's more so like a new metric is what I would classify it as. So before we talk about that, so this is actually separate from Legends ranking, but it's kind of like a similar premise behind the two systems. So Legends ranking, obviously you have your total amount of points right here. I have 2.3 million right now. I think because if you go and take a look at the actual like top world rankings, people have like tons and tons and tons of points. So I mentioned this before this was even implemented. People will find ways to exploit and manipulate this. I'm not sure if these guys are cheating or whatever, but like I don't really know of a way that seems legitimate to be having almost 17 million points already, like 2 days after this released. So there's probably some way of gaming the system, which there always is with these sort of rankings. But I mean, we could take a look at the way this is ranked here. Actually, is there an explanation here? No, there's no explanation in there. Question mark? Yeah, so I mean, it gives a breakdown of how this works. Like you can use points, or you can earn points by doing like any of these things here. So I don't know. But what we're going to be talking about in this video is actually separate from the Legends ranking, and it has to do with your box. And if you take a look at your character list, which I'll show in a second, on the top right hand side of your screen, you will see the total power level of your account. I guess technically your box, your character list. And the way it is calculated is it takes the power levels of all of your characters that you have. So for example, this Goku, take a look at his details here. His power level, as you can see, his power level here. His power level is 1,479,911. So what the game does is it takes the power level of each one of the characters that you own, and that becomes the total power level of your account, I guess. And so basically, once they add it all up, that's your power level. Unfortunately, it doesn't actually do anything. Like it's just I guess like a fun thing or a fun way to measure how good your account is, like I guess. So let's go ahead and take a look at my power level. So we go to the character list here. I'm at 676,602,955 is my total power level. We can even take a look at the little question mark here. So what is total power level? Total power level is the total sum of the power levels of all of the characters that you own. Collect lots of characters and power them up to raise your total power level. So again, it's exactly what I just said. There's no actual like logistical application of this mechanic. It just exists as a pure measurement of your, I guess, status, or it's a status symbol essentially, right? You can post on social media to compare to other people. I actually did make a post on Twitter asking for people to post their power level just so I can get a good idea of like what people's power levels are like. And I guess we can also take a look at this other post that I made. We'll talk about this in a second, but in terms of like taking a look at your own power level and measuring how good it is. So for example, my power level, I'm at 676 million. I'm sure there's a lot of people who are in like the mid 600s, so like 650, 660. And if we take a look at what I could actually get to increase this power level, so I'm going to go ahead and filter by limit break, because really what this is measuring is how many characters you own and how many stars you have on each of these characters. So in terms of like what characters I don't have 14 stars, I guess that's really what it's going at here. We can filter, start by hero. Obviously I have every hero 14 stars, like except for Shallot. But yeah, that's that. Every ultra I have at 14 stars. There we go. Every sparking, except for actually every sparking except for one at 14 stars, which is this blue Goku Black, except you don't actually gain power level by going from 13 stars to 14 stars, because you don't actually gain stats by going from 13 to 14 stars. The only thing that increases is your Z ability, so he's missing the final Z ability here. But that's it. In terms of his power level, so we can see his power level right now is 1.459 million. If I click on display maximum stats, that power level number does not go up. So technically, I have every single sparking character in the game at their maximum power level values. So that there's nothing I can do to increase it this way. But once we start getting into the extremes, there are a few characters which I do not have maxed out because of how they do the extreme rates in this game. The extreme rates in this game are just complete. It's actually just a disaster. Like at this point, I will classify that the way they handle extreme characters is a disaster. So we scroll down here. There are quite a bit of extreme characters that actually don't have at 14 stars. So in the most recent banner, the Reviving UI Goku banner, I actually did manage to get, because of how badly it shafted me, I did manage to get both the new EX Kale and Bergamo up to 10 stars on both of them. So their power level is fairly high. And then I have the Goku and the Vegeta, the blue Goku and the blue Vegeta. I actually did pump a decent amount of Z power into the green Goku there. Vegeta, I haven't pumped anything into him. I just got pretty unlucky with how many copies of him I pulled off of the Vegeta and Trunks banner. Oob is from the Tag 4's banner. Just prioritized Omega Shenron. I can see Omega Shenron is 14 stars. I pumped tons and tons and tons of Z power into this guy because I think his art is cool. He's a cool unit. I like villains, and he's actually not that bad. And then 17, of course, or sorry, not 17, 18 came out alongside 17 on his LF banner. So she is fairly new, and I have been prioritizing her recently with Z power. So for this 18, I think I actually only pulled one copy of her on the banner. So she started out at 2 stars. So far I've been able to get her up to 6. And I will continue to give her tons of Z power. So the only thing I wanted to show with this is that these are the only characters that could potentially increase my power level right now. And because there are this few amount of characters that can increase my power level, actually what I was able to do is I was able to reverse calculate what the total power level, like the maximum possible total power level could be, assuming that I had all of these EX characters maxed out. And so what I did was I just took, I went into each character. For Kale, I went ahead and displayed maximum stats, and I took the differential of what the power level of her is before she's maxed out versus maxed out, and then I added the difference to the power level that I have. And so the total power level that you can have, the maximum total power level you can have right now as of February 25th, 2023 is 677,277,950. So that is the maximum you could have. So about 600,000 more power level than what I have right now is the maximum that you could have. And I think that might be surprising because you take a look at these characters here and it's like you would imagine like a Vegeta going from 4 stars to 14 stars would be a maximum increase in his total power level, but it's not actually that different. I mean, this Vegeta at 4 stars is at 1,259,204 right there. If we pump him up all the way to 14 stars, his power level goes not even 200,000. It doesn't even go up an extra 200,000, right? So you apply sort of that same mindset to these other non-14 starred EX characters, and it's not really that different. So I think the major way that this is measured, if you think about it, is it's more so dependent on you actually owning these characters, right? Because if there's characters you don't own, so for example, this Vegeta at 4 stars, if I didn't own the Vegeta at all, I'd be, down an extra 1.259 million power level, right? So it's more so based around the characters that you own as opposed to the stars and the characters, I think. Something else to mention is Zenkais. And again, I don't think Zenkais really are that important for this. I mean, it definitely helps a little bit. So for example, is there a way to like reverse the Zenkai on here? And I don't think there's a way to do it. Okay, so let's just, for example, let's talk about this Goku, because this Goku came out with yellow hit, right? So if we take a look at this Goku's power level post Zenkai is 1.491. Actually, this isn't a good example because he's transforming. Let's pick a different Zenkai that's not a transforming character. So Boo. This Boo actually released alongside Blue Deborah. So they released around the same time, so you would expect them to sort of have a similar power level to each other. This green Boo and then the blue Deborah. So this Boo obviously has a Zenkai Awakening, which means his power level is 1.510 million power level. If we compare this Boo directly to Blue Deborah, let's see if I can find him on here. What is Blue Deborah's power level? Blue Deborah's power level is 1.336 million. That is his power level, according to this right here. So it's not even a 200,000 difference between that Deborah, non-Zenkai, and then the green Fat Boo who released at the same time as Deborah. So every time a character gets a Zenkai and you fully soul boost them and get them 14 stars, like the difference between them being non-Zenkai and fully Zenkai is not even like a 200,000 power level differential. So Zenkais do impact the power level as well because your character gets higher power level from being Zenkai, but it's not a massive difference as opposed to actually like new characters dropping, right? So if we think about that in the terms of like how long will it take for us to actually be able to reach 700 million power level, because we're about, what is that, 24 million power level, 23 million power level away from getting to 700 million at this point. I guess the best way to think about this is like a lot of recent characters, let's just call it at 14 stars, they have around 1.5 million power level at 14 stars. So for example, 17, most recent Olive character, he has basically 1.5 million power level there, right? That makes sense. So if we say that it takes around 23 more million power level to get to 700 million power level total, assuming you're pretty close to the top where I am, and each new character at 14 stars is giving approximately 1.5 million power level, you need, what is that? 23 divided by 1.5 is what, like 15, 16, something like that? So we need like 15 to 16 more characters to release to actually get to the 700 million power level mark. They release what, 2 to 3 characters per month, maybe even a little bit, maybe like 3 to 4 if you include EXs and free characters and stuff like that, and Zenkais. So we'll say 3 to 4 new characters / Zenkais a month. Actually, it would be more than that, because Ultra, LF, EX, and then free character, it's like 4. Yeah, let's just call it 4 new characters, not including Zenkais per month. So in order to get to that 15, 16 level, that's like 4 months from now, give or take. So I'd say by July, by like the end of the anniversary, we will be eclipsing 700 million power level here, which is pretty good. Again, it doesn't mean anything. There's no actual practical application of this right here. Like, this doesn't actually mean anything at all. It's just a way for you to be able to objectively share like how good your account in terms of your characters lists are. It's more of a collecting aspect of the game, right? I mean, like, if you're somebody who prioritizes one tag, like for example, you're somebody who's always only summoned for future characters, right? And you know, you don't care about any other tag, you don't care about God Key, you don't care about, you know, Hybrid Saiyans, you don't care about movies. All you care about is future, and you only summon on characters or banners that have new future characters or Zenkai's future characters. Like, that is a viable way to play the game. But the problem with that is you're missing out on so many other characters that won't increase your power level. So it depends on if you care about that or not. It's more, again, more of a collection aspect of the game, this power level mechanic. But that pretty much is the gist of what this total power level system means and how it is calculated. So that's really what I wanted to do here. Again, Dokkan has a similar system. It's called the Dokkan account power level system. But for Dokkan, there's more that goes into their power level system as opposed to just straight up your characters. You also have like link levels and how many Dokkan Awakens you have and stuff like that. So it's more than just what is your character's power level, because you can actively grind different aspects of characters that will increase your power level. As opposed to Legends, it's just depending on what star level your characters are at. Again, it's something to be taken too seriously. It's just a way to have fun and like sort of compare your account with your friends, stuff like that. But yep, that's my power level, 676, 602, 955. By the way, if I really wanted to, and I don't really care about the system, I personally don't. I don't care about Dokkan's system. I don't care about Legend's system. It's what it is. I could give these characters a lot higher stars because the way I like to do this with Z Power is look how much Z Power I have here. I very rarely use Z Power unless I specifically really want to bump up a character I actually really care about. I was really contemplating giving the EX18 like a ton of Z power because I actually really like this character. I think this character is designed very well. It's just very unfortunate the way that they treat EX characters in that it's almost impossible to pull them. So if we go to, where's the Z power right here? Like, I could pump tons and tons and tons of Z power into 18 here. And I think how high can I get her here? I honestly, I might be able to get her all the way to like red 4 or something like that, red 5. If I just went crazy and dumped all the Z power into her, but I don't know if I want to do that. I'm somebody who prefers to hold on to the resources instead of just using it as soon as I get it, in case like a new EX character comes out and like it is like basically the second coming of EX Gokua releases, and they're like the best character in the game, and they're an EX. Like, at that point, yes, I will completely extinguish my stock of Z power to make them have as much stars as possible, except as of right now a character like that does not exist. So that's pretty much where we're at here. I think if I ended up using all my Z power on these characters, I probably could end up hitting like 676, 800 or 900, but again, this is where I'm at right now. I think it's gonna just depend on like moving forward for my account specifically. It's just gonna depend on my luck summoning for EX units, because I always go for the 14 star on new Sparkings. I always go for the 14 star on new Ultras. So that portion will always be completely filled out, right? Sparkings and Ultras usually will be filled out, right, in terms of fully maxed out characters. But EXs are a completely different story because EXs are just so much more difficult to pull than every other classification and rarity of character in this game. And it makes no sense. That's just the way that they've decided works for them, I guess. But Let me know down below what you guys think of the total power level system. Hope you guys enjoyed. And let me know down below, what is your power level? I'm curious. And I'll see you guys all in the next one.